Congruence in overlapping triangles. We're going to start off with some easy ones, and we'll move on to the harder ones as we go. Examples. What you're going to do here is separate and redraw. The indicated triangles. Identify any common angles or sides. Identify any common angles or sides. Okay, so the big piece here is separate and redraw. Now, if you do not separate and redraw, you're going to get docked points on the test. So keep that in mind when you are working on these and you see these overlapping triangles. The first thing you want to do is separate. Got it? Even if it doesn't ask you, you still have to do the separating and redrawing. All right, number 1. Triangle MKJ and triangle LJK. MKJ and that's an L, LJK. Okay, we're ready to draw the picture. It's easiest if you draw with me. This is M, this is J, this is K, and from J I'm going to come out back. There it goes. All right. Are we good? All right. First thing I'm going to do is highlight the MKJ. Whatever color you're using is up to you. MKJ. It helps you to see the triangles, that you have overlapping triangles. And I'm going to redraw that over here because it did ask us to redraw. M, J, K. Okay, the next one, I'm going to use my colored pen, and that is LJK. 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 All right, so this is part of the process. Again, even if they don't ask us to redraw, in order to receive the credit, we do have to redraw. Now, all of these triangles are going to share either a side or an angle. They're going to overlap on a side or a triangle. It's easier to see right here. Can you see there's either a side or an angle where both colors overlap on the whole side or the whole angle? Anybody tell me which one it is? Is it the JK? Do you guys agree this piece right here has the highlighter and the marker? Yes or no? All right. So it says here, separate and redraw. We did that. The indicated triangles and identify any common angles or sides. So what is the common side? JK, line at the top, box it in. That is your answer. Okay, so you have two answers, the redraw and the overlapping side in this case. questions on number 1? Where they overlap, whether it's an angle or a side. For these first ones, we're starting off easy. We'll get to the harder ones in just a little bit. Okay, I suggest you draw this one with me, because if you do not and you try to get in at the end, it's going to be a little harder. Okay, so first draw a big triangle like so. I'm going to call this DEF. DEF. Okay, are we ready for the rest of it? From E, I'm going to come over here and call this H. I connected this one right now, E to H, and I'm going to go from F to G. I know. Now, there's going to be a piece here that's really not necessary. You just need to deal with it, because sometimes they draw it, sometimes they don't. And we're going to work here with triangle DEH, DEH, and triangle DFG. Triangle DEH and triangle DFG. Yes? These are going to be given to you. That's a really good question. Like, how am I getting these is what he's asking. How do you know which triangles to use? These will be given to you. When we get to the harder ones, they'll give you one of them and you have to come up with the second one. For the easier ones, they give you both, you redraw. All right, I'm going to do the first one, a highlighter, DEH. DEH is this triangle right here. The second one is DFG. That's this one here, DFG. Do we agree? Okay, now earlier I stated there's a piece that's not even needed. Do you agree that FE is not really needed for either triangle? Right? So that did not, this connecting piece, it was not necessary. I put it there because sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Know how to read it when it's not there, know how to read it when it is there. Either way, it's the EF, that line is not necessary. Okay, so let us redraw. I'm going to draw the DEH first. Oh, before I do, can you guys tell whether they overlap on an angle or a side? Okay, I'm glad. I was hoping someone, I was going to point out anyway. Some kids will say something like DG or DH. Let's look at DH. Does DH have both of the yellow and the pin? But is DH the side for, like DH is the base for the yellow triangle. Is DH a complete side for my pin triangle? Is DH the complete side for this triangle? Yes or no? Do you see that I cannot use DH? If I'm using a side like I did with JK, JK is a complete side for both triangles. Do we all see that? Okay, so can I use DH or DG? No, because DG or DH is not a complete side for both triangles. It's an angle. What angle is it? Angle what? Can you see they overlap in this one here? The magenta one does have angle F, but does the yellow one touch angle F? Okay, what about angle G? The magenta has angle G, but does the yellow one have angle G? Do they both share angle D? Yes. You can see where it's going to get a little harder. I am going to redraw first. DEH. DEH. The more practice we do, the better we will become at recognizing whether they're sharing an angle or a side. Next one, DFG. DFG. And where did they overlap? I kind of rotated mine when I drew them, but where did they overlap in angle D? So you have the redraw as part of your answer, and then the angle or the side as your second answer. Questions before we move on to 3? Okay. Again, draw it with me. Do not connect the top piece on this one. Do not connect the top piece. I'm going to call this A, B, C, D. And I'm going to connect A to C and D to B. And I'm going to call this overlapping piece right here E. All right, this next piece I'm going to write. Do not write it because I'm doing it in pencil. I'm going to erase. Earlier when I said sometimes this excess piece is there, sometimes it's not. Right now they didn't draw it, but do you agree they could have put that in there if they wanted to? Is it necessary in this particular problem? No, just like it wasn't necessary in that one, but they drew it. Just get used to having it there sometimes, and sometimes it's not. All right, let me tell you the two triangles I want you to redraw. Triangle CAB and triangle BDC. Got it? Okay, so first one, CBA. Remember that these will be given to you on your assignment today. CAB and BDC. Now, it looks like these might be right triangles, but if it didn't tell us or they didn't mark it, can I assume? No, we cannot assume these are right triangles. Does everyone see that this is BDC? Yes? All right, let's go ahead and redraw. CAB, CAB, and the other one is BDC, BDC. Now, can you guys tell if they overlap on an angle or a side? A side. Which side do they overlap on? BC. Is BC the same for both of them? I should have marked this one over here, that angle D was congruent to angle D, because they share that. Kind of like reflexive property, they share the angle or they share the side. All right. Do you guys agree it's a little easier to see when they share a side versus when they share an angle? Sometimes the angle is a little harder for students to see. All right, so what would I say? Here's my answer. Side, BC. Redraw, overlapping side. Redraw, overlapping angle. Question on the easier ones before we start some of the slightly more difficult ones. We're good? Okay. You will have some questions like this on the test where they give you the picture and something like this, and they'll ask you where do the two triangles overlap, and you'll say angle what? D. The only thing I advise you to recognize is if we call it angle D, which we can a test writer call that angle HDE if they wanted to? Is angle HDE equivalent to angle D? Yes. I just share that with you because on the test, sometimes test writers will write it this way, where we call it angle D, which is perfectly fine. They'll call it HDE. Should you recognize that those two things are the same? Yes. Or what else could they have called it? G, D, F. Or FDE, EDF. There's a number of ways they could have called it. Either way, it's all the same. It's all angle D. Make sense? All right, questions before we move on? Okay. Name, these are the ones you're going to see more of on the test. Name a pair of overlapping congruent triangles. Now we've added congruency in there. Name a pair of overlapping congruent triangles, period. State whether the triangles are congruent by what are our 5 choices. I'll start you off. Side, side, side. What else is there? Thank you. Side, angle, side. Another one. Angle, angle, side. Angle, side, angle. And the one we just learned on Friday. Hypotenuse, leg, HL. All right, those are our choices. Questions? We're ready? Okay, number 1.
Wait, let's say HL or each angle?
HL. Okay, number 1. This picture is going to be very similar, actually exactly to the one that I drew earlier, the last one on the previous page. This is A, this is B, D, C. There are some extra things I'm going to give you that I did not give you on the last one. Angle B is 90. Angle C is another right angle. And then I'm going to connect to D to B and A to C. And I'm going to call this D. Oh, thank you. That should be an E, which is what I called it on the previous page. Yes or no? Thank you, guys. That is an E. Okay, so I'm going to show you the way it's going to be given to you on the test, just like this. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle blank, and then here is where you put in one of these. Does that make sense? Is that a yes? All right. Abraham asked earlier, how do you know what triangles to use? And what did I tell him? On this page, they will be given. On the page we're about to do now, they're going to give you one of them, and you have to come up with the other and state why they're congruent. Are we ready? Okay, what's the first thing we should do, even though it didn't say to do it here? Starts with an R. Redraw. All right, I'm going to first highlight the one they gave me. What was the first? They will always give us one. Which one did they give us? ABC. Start with that one. Oh, and there's one thing I forgot to give you. That will be given information. There's always going to be given information on these type of problems. These are kind of like a freebie. AC is congruent to DB, and it is needed. If that information, if you forget to use it, you're not going to be able to do the problem. All right, so let's redraw that. ABC. Where is my right triangle? My right angle? Which angle is my right angle? B. Okay. Can you guys look at the triangle and figure out what is the other right triangle that we're going to work out to try to be congruent to this one? C what? C, D, B. Is this the triangle we're going to be working with? Yes or no? We'll get the right order in just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to redraw it. D, C, B. Oh, where's my right angle? What is it? This one? Okay. Are the two angle C's congruent to each other? No. Look how small that angle C is, and this is a right angle. That angle B is small, that angle B is 90. So the angles, right, those angles are not where they overlap, nor is it this angle up here. let me color these in. Where do the two triangles overlap? What was the answer? BC. Does everyone agree they overlap on side BC, yes or no? Okay, since they overlap and we can use reflexive property, can I put a marking here? BC is congruent to itself, yes or no? Like I could put it there, the two triangles share that side. Yes or no? All right, let's use given information because I haven't used that yet. What does it say? AC, this is AC, is congruent to what? DB. All right, I'm going to put double markings there. I have two sides and an angle, two sides and an angle, and the angle is not sandwiched. So it looks like side-side angle. Is that one of my choices? Is side-side angle one of my choices? No, because side-side angle only works for what type of special triangle? And what do we call it when it's a right triangle? HL. HL goes here. Any questions on the HL? Does everyone agree it's a right triangle? Hypotenuse is congruent and a leg is congruent. Hypotenuse, leg, yes or no? All right, let's go from here. ABC. ABC. I run along the no marking and then the single marking with my right angle in the middle. No side marking, single side marking. None, one. What is it going to be? DCB. Does the order matter? Yes. If you put CDB, is that okay? No, you're going to get it wrong. Questions? All right, let's try one more like this. Number 2. Everyone have this picture? All right, we are going to connect TQ and RV. Going to call this S. Okay. And I will give you the given information. Given angle T is congruent to angle R. And more given information, PQ is congruent to PV. All right, I'm going to give you that triangle PTQ is congruent to triangle blank, and then we have to state why. Okay. So you see this on your test, and even though it does not say redraw, what should be the first thing you do? Redraw. Use this as your starting point. What starting triangle did they give us? PTQ. Before I even redraw it, can anybody tell me, just by looking at this one, what's the other triangle we're going to use that would be congruent? VPR is what I heard. Would you guys agree with him? Yes, does it look like those two triangles there? Okay, so let's redraw PTQ. VPR. Mine are not drawn very nicely, but I think we can handle it. Okay, PTQ and VPR. First thing I suggest you do before using the given information is look for when we have, they're called overlapping triangles. When we have these overlapping triangles, they're always going to overlap on either a side or a what? Angle. So can you look at the picture and see where do they overlap? It looks like this side, but no, because it's not all the way through. What is it? Angle what? Angle P. Do you guys agree they overlap right here in corner P? Yes or no? So could I put a congruent marking there and there? What's the reason? Starts with an R. R-E-F. Reflexive property. Is angle P congruent to angle P? Yes, and there's only one angle in there. It's not like here where this B is not congruent to that B. Do you agree P is the same for both of them? All right, now what do I have to use that I haven't used already? What am I going to use now that I haven't used already? The given. So what is that? Angle T is congruent to angle R. Why do I put double markings and not single? We already have the single. All right, what else is given information? PQ and PV. All right, so these problems require you to be very spatial, look at it and know how to redraw, where to put your letters, where to put your markings. And after you've done all of that, use our prior knowledge. How many angle markings do I have in each picture? How many sets? 2 angles and then 2 angles and one side. Is that side sandwiched or not sandwiched? Do you guys agree it's not included? So angle side angle or angle side? So what goes down here? Angle side. Let's use our PTQ as a guide. PTQ goes from 1 to 2 to none. 1, 2, none. Go in that same order. 1, 2, none. What's the order? PRV. Does that order matter? Yes? Yes, it does. Okay, take your worksheets out and open up to, is this 6? 7. Take your worksheets out and open up to worksheet 7. Everyone there? Okay. You have 1 through 11. I want you doing 1 through 6 for homework. Okay, which ones are you doing for homework? 1 through 6. I want you getting started on it right now. You can start number 1. And 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 we'll do together in class tomorrow. Got it? Well, you guys will work together. Okay, ABC is the first one. ABC. And DCB is the second one. DCB. Is that right? I marked it incorrectly on my first one, so I'm just going to get a new one out. You guys can keep working. I just marked mine incorrectly. Here we go. All right. ABC. And DCB. All right, do they share an angle or a side? Can everybody see the side that they share? It's a complete side. What's the side? BC. So if you just put BC and that's it, is that okay? No, what do we have to do? We have to redraw. So BCA. And DCB. All right. So one more time, what side leg did the two triangles share? BC. So you'd mark it like this, and this, because of the reflexive property, BC is congruent to BC. All right, go ahead and keep working. 1 through 6.